Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
Usually we take a book or a paper and we try to, extract the wisdom, the how-to, the strategy. But today we are conducting a forensic review.
Hmm.
And I don't use that word lightly. We're looking at a document that essentially functions as a safety inspection for the human mind when it interacts with financial
It
markets.
really does.
We're diving into the FIMEPSY diagnosis by Krishnendu Karmakar.
It's a fascinating piece of work. It's less of a book in the traditional sense, something you read cover to cover and then just put on a shelf.
Right.
It's more of a technical manual for survival, a field guide for a hostile environment. And frankly, given the statistics we usually see in this industry, survival is the only metric that truly matters.
Exactly. Let's start right there with the statistic that opens the whole discussion. It's the elephant in the room.
Always is.
It's the number everyone knows, everyone whispers about, but nobody really wants to look in the eye. The market reality is that 90% of traders fail.
90%. It's just a staggering number.
It is. We hear it all the time. 90% lose money. But the assumption, and this is what we need to unpack immediately because it's the root of the problem, is that they fail because they don't know enough.
That is the great misconception. I mean, the entire industry is built on that assumption. It sells you the solution to that assumption.
Oh, absolutely.
They tell you, you failed because you didn't know the new strategy. You failed because you didn't have the premium indicator package. You failed because you didn't read the latest macro report.
Right. It's an education gap. The logic is if I just study harder, if I just memorize more chart patterns, I'll be in the 10%.
Precisely. But the core thesis of the FIMEPSY diagnosis just shatters that logic. Karmakar argues that the failure rate has almost nothing to do with the software, your strategy, your technical analysis, your knowledge of the Greeks. The failure is a hardware issue. And when we say hardware, we're talking about the trader's internal psychological and neurological infrastructure.
That distinction is so crucial. Hardware versus software. You can have the most advanced trading algorithm in the world. Let's say you have the Goldman Sachs playbook.
Right, the best of the best.
But if you try to run it on a computer where the processor is overheating, the fan is broken, and the circuits are melting, it doesn't matter how good the program is, it's going to crash.
It will crash every single time. And Karmakar uses a very specific engineering metaphor here that I think changes the entire conversation.
Yeah.
He talks about a fatigue fracture.
A fatigue fracture.
Now, you and I aren't engineers, but this concept is vital. In materials science, a fatigue fracture is distinct from a sudden break caused by a massive overload.
Okay, let's visualize this. If I take a metal bar and I hit it with a sledgehammer and it snaps, that's an overload failure.
Correct. That's blowing up your account. Because you bet everything on one trade and it went to zero. That happens, sure. But that's not how most traders die.
No.
That's not how the 90% fail.
They die slower than that.
Much slower. A fatigue fracture happens when a material is subjected to cyclic loading.
Cyclic loading.
Repeated stress over and over again. Think of a paperclip. You bend it, it looks fine. You bend it back, it still looks fine. The load is well within the safe limits of the metal.
Right, it's not breaking.
But if you do that 50 times, stress, release, micro cracks begin to form inside the structure.
And you can't see them.
You cannot see them. To the naked eye, the paperclip looks exactly the same on bend number 49 as it did on bend number 1. But the structural integrity is being compromised from the inside out.
And then what happened?
Then, on bend number 50, under a load that it handled 49 times before without any issue, the material just snaps.
That is a terrifyingly accurate description of trading burnout. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You're taking losses, you're taking wins, you're managing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're not. You're making decisions that make no sense. You're breaking your own rules. You're doubling down on losing positions. And the scary part is you don't even know why. You feel like you're doing the same thing you always do, but the machine is broken.
And that really is the mission of this deep dive. We aren't doing a book review. We are conducting a safety inspection of the listener's, trading mind. We're looking for those micro cracks before the fatigue fracture happens. Because once the fracture happens, it's too late. The account is gone.
So let's get into the diagnosis itself. The title of the work is the FIMEPSY diagnosis. That's a coined term by the author. It sounds medical, almost clinical. Let's break down that acronym. FIMEPSY.
It stands for Financial, Mental, and Psychology. So FIMEPSY. It describes a state where financial pressure, mental fatigue, and psychological stress all overlap.
Like a Venn diagram.
It's a Venn diagram of destruction. But what's interesting is how Karmakar describes the onset of this state.
It's not dramatic, is it? It's not the guy in the movie throwing his keyboard through the monitor.
No, and that's why it's so dangerous. I mean, if you're throwing your keyboard, you know you have a problem.
Yeah.
The red lights are flashing.
Yeah, that's a pretty clear.
FIMEPSY is described as a silent state. It's a creeping heaviness. It's subtle.
The text mentions specific symptoms. Hesitation before routine entries. Shallow breathing.
Let's look at that hesitation. You see your setup, the one you've traded 1,000 times. The logic is there. The chart is perfect. But your hand freezes on the mouse. Just for a split second.
Or you suddenly feel like you have to check one more thing.
Yes. Or look at Twitter one more time. That hesitation isn't caution. That hesitation is the micro crack opening up. Your brain is struggling to process the risk because it's fatigued.
And the borrowed confidence. I love that phrase. Confidence feels borrowed. It implies that you're faking it to get through the day.
Totally.
You're pretending to be the trader you were last month, but the internal fuel just isn't there.
Exactly. You are operating on fumes. And physically, the breathing changes. You start breathing shallowly, high in the chest. This signals the nervous system that you are under threat, which triggers cortisol, which further fogs your decision-making.
It's a feedback loop.
It is, but the trader ignores it.
This brings us to a beautiful, albeit slightly heartbreaking, analogy in the book called The Mother Test. I think this really drives home how disconnected traders get from their own well-being.
Oh, yeah.
We treat ourselves in a way we would never treat another human being.
It's so true. The author argues that in FIMEPSY, the mind tries to protect you. It questions your decisions, it replays past errors, it makes you feel tired.
Right.
But traders interpret this as weakness. We have this whole grind set culture. We think, I need to push harder, I need to focus more, I'm being lazy.
Sleep is for the weak, right? The market never sleeps.
Exactly. But the analogy is this. Imagine a mother watching her child. The child is trembling, eyes glazed over, breathing shallow, clearly exhausted and overwhelmed. Would the mother say, push harder, stop being weak, do more math?
No, she'd say stop.
She would say, something feels heavy, let's notice that, let's rest. But as traders, we are terrible mothers to ourselves.
We're abusive drill sergeants.
Yes. We treat the signal of fatigue as a signal of incompetence. We think, if I was a better trader, I wouldn't be tired. But the engineering reality, and remember, Karmakar is an engineer, is that fatigue is a physical consequence of work. It has nothing to do with talent.
If a bridge is carrying too much weight, it doesn't mean the bridge is lazy.
Well,
It means it's overloaded. It's physics.
it is physics. And ignoring physics always leads to a crash.
Now, the source material also touches on the specific environment where this book was written, the Indian market. It describes it as a high resonance environment. I want to dig into this because even for our listeners who aren't trading the Nifty or Sensex, the concept of resonance is fascinating. Why is that distinction so important?
It creates a unique stress profile. The author, having worked with SEBI-registered entities and being NESM certified, looks at the Indian market structure specifically. He calls it high resonance because the cyclic loading is relentless and condensed.
How so? What does that mean?
Well, think about the timeline. You have the gift Nifty. This is the futures contract that trades before the actual Indian market opens. It gives a signal, a premonition of where the market will open.
Okay.
So imagine you are a trader in Mumbai. You wake up at 7 a.m. You haven't even had coffee. You check your phone. The gift Nifty is down 150 points because the U.S. tech sector sold off overnight.
So your day hasn't even started. You haven't placed a trade, but your stress response is already triggered.
Exactly. You are already in a deficit. You are already reacting. The loading phase has begun before the workday starts. Then the market opens at 9:15 a.m. It's volatile. Then at 10 a.m., maybe the RBI makes an announcement. The European markets open in the afternoon. It's just a constant barrage.
It's a frequency issue.
In engineering terms, yes. If you vibrate a structure at its resonant frequency, the stress multiplies. The amplitude gets higher and higher until it shatters. The Indian market, with its high volatility and tight coupling to global cues, it vibrates the nervous system at a very high frequency. The cycles of stress happen faster. So a trader in this environment might reach their endurance limit, that 50th bend of the paperclip, much faster than a long-term investor in a quieter market.
Speaking of endurance limits, let's look at forensic trout 1.1 mentioned in the source. This is the SN curve of trading fatigue. This is where the engineer really comes out in the author.
This is pure material science.
It's not psychology.
No, it's material science applied to the brain. The SN curve is a standard engineering graph used to predict when a metal part will fail. The y-axis is stress, or S. The x-axis is the number of cycles, N.
And the curve goes down, it always goes down.
It slopes downward. What it shows is the endurance limit. It illustrates that as the number of trading cycles increases, and a cycle is defined as any unresolved outcome, a loss, a near miss, a moment of hesitation,
Or just waiting.
or just waiting in the void of uncertainty, your mental capacity to process that uncertainty decays.
So my capacity isn't a flat line. I think that's the mistake we all make. We think, I'm smart, I have an IQ of 140, I have that IQ at 9 a.m. and I have it at 3 p.m.
Your IQ might be the same, but your processing power is not. You are not the same trader at 3:00 p.m. that you were at 9:03 a.m. You are running on battery saver mode. Right. The chart shows a FIMEPSY failure point. There is a specific line where the curve drops below the endurance limit. Beyond this line, the author states explicitly, you are no longer trading a strategy. You are trading your own exhaustion.
That is a chilling thought. Trading your own exhaustion, it means the market is just a canvas, and you're just painting your burnout all over it.
Yeah.
You aren't seeing price action anymore, you're seeing your own need for relief.
Correct. And that is where the fatigue fracture occurs. You snap, not because the market did something crazy, but because you ran out of structural integrity to handle the normal variance of the day.
Let's pivot to the man behind this diagnosis. Krishnendu Karmakar, we've mentioned he's an engineer. How does that background shape his worldview compared to, say, a typical finance guru or a pure psychologist?
It changes everything. Most finance education treats trading as an art, feel the flow, or a game of probability. Karmakar is a mechanical engineer. He treats trading as a problem of survivability-first architecture.
Survivability-first architecture. That sounds like something you'd say about a submarine or a spacecraft.
And that's exactly how he views a trading account. It's a vessel designed to navigate a hostile environment. If you build a bridge, you don't build it for the sunny days when there's no wind and no traffic.
Yeah.
You build it to withstand the hurricane and the heavy trucks. He believes most traders are building structures that can only handle sunny days. His whole goal is to move you from hunting for luck to engineering success.
To illustrate this, the book introduces two archetypes, and I want to spend some real time here because this is the story of every trader I know. We have the architect named Arjun and the mariner named Vikram. Let's start with Arjun. Who is he?
Arjun is the personification of high intelligence meeting market chaos. He's the guy we all want to be at first. He's an IIT graduate. Brilliant, mathematical, analytical. He treats the market like a solvable algorithm.
He believes there is a code, and if he's smart enough, he can crack it.
Exactly. He believes that if he works hard enough, calculates fast enough, gathers enough data, and builds enough complex models, he can solve the market. He can predict the outcome.
That sounds like a recipe for success in almost any other field. If you're a coder or a surgeon or a bridge builder, that intensity works.
In any deterministic field, yes. In a linear world, Arjun wins. But the market is nonlinear and probabilistic. So when Arjun hits a drawdown, when the market doesn't do what his model said it should, his failure mode kicks in.
And what's that?
The book calls it thermal runaway.
Thermal runaway. That sounds like a nuclear reactor melting down.
It's exactly that. Think about what happens in a reactor. The cooling system fails, the heat rises, the reaction speeds up, which creates more heat, which speeds up the reaction. It's a runaway loop. When Arjun loses, he tries to fix it with effort. He adds more screens. He watches global markets at 2 a.m. He reads 10 more news sites. He tries to decide on every single tick of the price.
He generates heat instead of work.
Yes, anxiety, friction, stress, that's the heat. But he's not actually executing better. He's just revving the engine while the car is in neutral. And physically, the book describes him as having the forward lean.
Oh, I know the forward lean. You're physically leaning into the screen. Your nose is 3 inches from the monitor.
It's a posture of desperation. He needs the trade to work to maintain his rhythm. He views the market's silence, those times when price is just drifting sideways, as a personal insult or a design flaw.
He takes it personally.
Totally. He thinks, why is it moving? I calculated it should move. I did the work.
Okay, that's Arjun. And honestly, I think 99% of us start as Arjun. We think we can outsmart the beast. Now, contrast that with Vikram, the mariner.
Vikram is a different breed. He's a former logistics navigator for the Mumbai port. He understands the monsoon season. He has spent his life on the water. And the ocean teaches you one thing very quickly. You are small and the ocean is big.
The ocean does not care about your spreadsheet.
The ocean doesn't even know you exist.
Hmm.
Vikram understands that he can't fight the sea. He can't command the waves. He can only engineer his hull to survive them.
So what does he do differently?
His success mode is dry docking. When his internal sensors trip, when he feels that FIMEPSY heaviness, that micro crack forming, he doesn't push harder. He steps away. The text gives a specific example. He goes for a walk along Marine Drive.
He leaves the terminal in the middle of the trading day.
He leaves the terminal. He physically removes himself from the stimulus. He understands that a compromised captain will sink the ship. So when stress rises, he simplifies his inputs. He doesn't add screens. He turns them off.
The phrase used is the distance. Real confidence steps back.
That's a profound insight. Real confidence steps back. It executes the plan and then makes tea. It knows that once the order is placed, the trade belongs to the variance. It belongs to the void. It doesn't belong to him anymore. Vikram isn't trying to predict the wave. He's just making sure his boat doesn't sink if the wave is big.
It's the difference between trying to command the ocean and trying to navigate it. Arjun wants to be Poseidon. He wants to hold the trident and control the tides.
Yeah.
Vikram just wants to be a good captain who gets home for dinner.
And the market kills Poseidons. It respects captains, because Poseidons eventually run out of energy. Captains conserve it.
This brings us to the practical application. The philosophy is great. Be a mariner, not an architect. But how do we actually do that? How do I know if I'm slipping into Arjun mode on a Tuesday morning when the market is crashing?
And that's the core utility of the source material. It's not just a concept, it's a checklist.
The FIMEPSY reality check.
A mandatory 21-point sensor scan.
Right.
And the instruction is strict. It must be done before the market opens. Specifically, before the 9:15 a.m. bell in the Indian context.
Why before? Why not during lunch?
Because once the market opens, you are under load. You are in the fog of war. You can't inspect the bridge while the trucks are driving over it. You have to inspect it when it's quiet. You need a baseline reading of your own mind before the dopamine and cortisol start flooding your system.
Let's walk through this checklist. It's divided into 3 zones, and I want to play devil's advocate here because some of these questions seem almost too simple or too invasive.
Go for it.
Zone 1 is the FIMEPSY rule, questions 1 through 14. One of them is, do small things irritate you? Now, come on. If I'm stuck in traffic and I get annoyed, does that really mean I shouldn't trade? Isn't that just being human?
It is being human, but it's a human with a depleted buffer. If you are snapping at your spouse or getting furious because the coffee machine is slow or yelling at traffic, that is your nervous system screaming that it is already at capacity.
Yeah.
You have no shock absorbers left.
So if I enter the market, which is the ultimate pothole-filled road without shock absorbers?
You will crash on the first bump. A small loss won't just be a small loss. It will trigger a rage response. It will trigger a revenge trade. The irritation is a check engine light.
Okay, fair enough. Another question in Zone 1. Do you feel an urgent need to trade to pay a bill?
That is the desperation trap. If you are trading to pay a bill, you are trading your need, not the chart. You will see opportunities that aren't there because you need them to be there.
You're hallucinating profits.
You are, because the reality of the bill is too painful.
And the rule for Zone 1 is brutal. If you answer yes to even one of these 14 questions...
The diagnosis is clear. You are compromised. Stop
Oh.
immediately.
Just one yes, even a small one.
Just one. Because if you have one crack in the hull, you don't sail into a storm. The text says, the market is not your enemy. Your damaged decision-making system is.
Right.
If you trade while compromised, you are essentially gambling with a broken machine.
Okay, let's say we pass Zone 1. We aren't irritated, we aren't desperate. We move to the structure rule, questions 15 through 18.
This checks for the existence of a plan. Do you have a fixed setup? Do you have defined risk? And crucially, question 16, do you trade only that setup and nothing else?
Nothing else. That's the kicker. I feel like a lot of traders, myself included sometimes, we have a setup, we have a favorite play,
Sure.
but then we see something else. We see gold moving. We see a breakout on a stock we never trade, and we think, well, I'm a trader. I should trade it.
That is style drift. And in engineering terms, that's using a tool for something it wasn't designed for. It's using a screwdriver as a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
It might work once, but eventually you'll break the handle or hurt your hand.
So nothing else means you are a specialist. You are a sniper, not a machine gunner, spraying bullets at everything that moves.
Exactly. If you answer NO here, if you admit you are dabbling, the check fails. You are improvising. And in the market, Improvising is just a fancy word for bleeding money.
Right.
You are generating heat again, because when you trade a setup you don't fully know, you are anxious, you don't know the probabilities, you are guessing.
Finally, we have the readiness signal, questions 19 through 21.
This checks for self-awareness. Are you ready to follow process over outcome? Do you believe you would perform better with a strict, process-driven framework?
That sounds like a leading question. I mean, who would say no? No, I want to perform worse.
You'd be surprised. Deep down, many traders, especially the Arjans, believe they are artists. They believe their gut feel is their edge.
Ah.
They don't want a strict framework because it feels restrictive, it feels boring, it feels like a job. They want the thrill of the call.
The cowboy mentality. They want to be the hero who sends the turn.
Exactly. To answer yes to this question, you have to surrender your ego. You have to admit, my gut is not enough. I need rules. I need constraints. That is a moment of maturity. That is the transition from gambling to business.
So if you pass all three zones, internal state is calm, structure is fixed, ego is checked, then and only then are you cleared to engage.
Correct. And imagine if every trader did this. Imagine if you only traded when you were 100% physically and mentally ready. Your volume would drop, sure,
Yep.
but your survival rate, it would skyrocket.
Now let's get into the math. Because for all the psychological talk, Karmakar is an engineer, and he backs this up with what he calls the physics of ruin.
Hmm.
This part of the book really dissects why standard retail risk management is a disaster.
This is where we need to grab a napkin and do some calculations. He introduces the risk of ruin formula. R equals 1E, 1 plus E, to the power of S.
Okay, don't lose me. Break down the variables.
It's simpler than it looks.
Yeah.
Here is your edge. Basically, do you win more than you lose? Let's assume you have a small edge. You're a decent trader.
Okay.
This is usually your structural mass. This is the number of units or bullets in your account.
Structural mass. I like that. It implies weight, stability.
Exactly. Let's
Yeah.
run the simulation.
Mhm.
We have the architect, Arjun. He has a $10,000 account. He wants to grow it fast. He risks 10% per trade. That's $1,000 risk.
10% is aggressive, but I see people do it on YouTube all the time. Flip your account.
Right. So his structural mass is 10. He has 10 units. Now let's look at the entropy of asymmetry. This is a fancy way of saying the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Mm-hmm.
Or simply luck clusters. You can have a coin flip that comes up, tails 10 times in a row. It's rare, but over 1,000 flips, it will happen.
It's a statistical certainty.
So Arjun hits a bad streak. The market is choppy. He loses 5 trades in a row. He's down 50% roughly.
And now he has 5,000 left,
And to get back to 10,000, he needs to make 100% profit.
which is incredibly hard.
And if he hits 10 losses, he's at 0. He is dead. His risk of ruin is effectively 100% because he doesn't have the mass to absorb a normal losing streak.
He's on a suicide mission.
It is a suicide mission, mathematically defined.
Now let's look at the mariner, Vikram. Same $10,000 account, same strategy, same market.
But Vikram risks 2% per trade, $200. His structural mass is 50. He has 50 bullets.
2% sounds boring. You make $400 on a win. You aren't buying a Lamborghini next week.
No, but you are buying survival. Vikram hits the same 10-loss streak. The variance of the void hits him just as hard as it hit Arjun.
Same bad luck.
But at the end of 10 losses, Vikram is down roughly 20%. He has $8,000 left. He is still in the game. He is still calm. He hasn't triggered thermal runaway because the loss isn't life-threatening.
And the math says his risk of complete ruin drops to what?
It drops to near 0. Specifically, the text calculates it as 0.000015%.
That is a staggering difference just by changing a lot.
Survivability isn't about predicting the win. You can't control the E, your edge, perfectly. The market fluctuates. But you can control E's, your mass. Arjun builds a hull that shatters after 10 waves. Vikram builds one that can take 50.
It's not about brilliance.
It's about simple, brute, structural integrity.
It connects back to the entropy of asymmetry you mentioned. The house has infinite money. We have rent money.
Exactly. The market has infinite time. You do not. If you play a game against an opponent with infinite money and you bet big, you will eventually go bust. The only way to win is to bet so small that you can stay at the table forever, waiting for the moments when the odds are in your favor.
The variance of the void. That phrase stuck with me. The void is that time between entering the trade and exiting.
It's the time when you have no control. You click buy. Now you are in the void. Price ticks up, price ticks down. News comes out. You can't do anything.
Right.
The mariner engineers his hull to survive the void. He wears a life jacket, his stop loss, and brings a sturdy boat. his position sizing. Arjun jumps into the void naked, hoping it will be nice to him.
And the void is rarely nice.
The void is indifferent, and that's what breaks people. If the market was cruel, you could hate it, you could fight it. But it's just random noise and other people's orders. That indifference is what causes the psychological fatigue. You are screaming into a void, and it doesn't answer.
This connects back to the idea that the book isn't really a book, it's a tool. The value proposition here is quite unique.
Yes. Karmakar frames the FIMEPSY diagnosis not as literature to be read on a Sunday afternoon with a glass of wine. He frames it as a piece of industrial equipment. He says it belongs on the trading desk, physically open, every single morning.
It's a pre-flight checklist.
It is. And he insists on the physical aspect. Why? Because a digital file can be minimized. A notification can be swiped away. But a physical book, open on your desk, staring at you, is a barrier. It's a speed bump.
It creates friction.
Good friction. We usually want to remove friction. But in trading, we need to add friction between our impulse and our action. The checklist is that friction. It slows you down just enough to let the prefrontal cortex, the logic center, come back online before the amygdala, the fear center, hijacks the mouse.
It prevents that thermal runaway we talked about. It stops you before you start revving the engine.
It forces simplification. If stress is high, the checklist says stop. It prevents you from working harder when your brain is actually melting down. It saves you from yourself.
We're coming to the end of our dive, but we have to mention the recovery. Diagnosis is step one. Okay, I have FIMEPSY. I'm fractured. How do we fix it?
Right.
The book alludes to recovery tools.
He mentions that recovery requires engineering, not just rest. You can't just sleep it off. You need to rebuild the structure. He introduces the Flash-Basie journaling system.
Now, most traders journal, I bought Apple at 150, sold at 155. Make $5.
That's accounting. That's not forensics. A forensic journal like FlashB tracks the biometrics of the trade. How did you feel? Were you impulsive? Did you hesitate? What was your FIMEPSY level?
So you're logging the hardware status, not just the software output.
Exactly. If you notice that every time you feel irritated at small things, which is question 10, you lose money, that is a massive piece of data. That is actionable intelligence. You can then create a rule. If irritated, no trading. That is how you install the structural armor. You use your own data to build safety protocols.
And the 30-bullet shield.
That refers to the mariner's risk management, ensuring you have at least 30, or preferably 50, units of risk. It shields you from the statistical inevitability of a losing streak.
Right.
If you only have 5 bullets, you are naked. If you have 30, you have a shield. It guarantees you cannot kill yourself in a day.
It's interesting how everything in this book comes back to engineering. Structure, mass, load, fatigue. It just strips away the romance of Wall Street. There's no Wolf of Wall Street glamour here.
And that's why it's effective. Romance kills traders. Hope kills traders. Physics does not care about your hope. If you treat trading as an engineering problem, you stop taking losses personally. A bridge doesn't cry when a truck drives over it. It just supports the load.
A bridge doesn't cry. That's good. We need to be more like bridges.
Or mariners. The sea is rough. The hull takes a beating, but if it's designed right, it floats.
I want to circle back to the silent state of FIMEPSY one last time before we close. We talked about denial. Why is it so hard for a trader, especially a smart one like Arjun, to admit they are in this state?
Because of the sunk cost fallacy and the identity crisis. If I admit I'm fatigued, I have to stop. If I stop, I can't make back the money I lost yesterday. And more importantly, if I'm not trading, who am I?
The identity piece is huge. I am a trader. Traders trade.
That is the dangerous loop. Arjun defines himself by his activity. I am working hard. I am clicking buttons. Vikram defines himself by his survival. I am still here. I am solvent.
Right.
The ability to sit on your hands and say, I am a trader who is currently choosing not to trade, is the ultimate level of professional detachment.
It's the difference between a gambling addict and a casino manager. The manager doesn't pull the lever every 5 seconds. He watches the floor. He manages the risk.
Exactly. Be the house, not the gambler. Or in Karmakar's language, be the engineer, not the user.
So, as we wrap up this forensic review, here is the call to action for everyone listening. Stop being the architect fighting the waves. Stop trying to command the ocean with your brilliance. It doesn't work.
It never does.
The ocean is bigger than you.
Be the mariner. Build a better hull. Check your sensors before you sail.
And if you want to really commit to this, if you want to install that structural armor, we have a specific resource for you. The Flash BA-SHE journaling system is a vital tool for recovery.
It's the tool that helps you see the invisible cracks.
You can subscribe to the channel to get access to the Flash BA-SHE journal details. We'll be sharing how to get it. And frankly, finding the FIMEPSY diagnosis on Amazon might be the best investment you make for your trading career. Not for the strategy. You have enough strategy. Buy it for the safety.
I'll leave you with a closing thought from the text, which I think sums up everything we've discussed today. The market does not reward brilliance. It rewards endurance.
Powerful stuff. The market rewards endurance. Thanks for diving in with us. Stay safe, check your sensors, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Safe trading, everyone. Protect the whole.